Good day. Thank you for tuning into this 2017 General Election Candidate Forum for Olympia City Council Position 5. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TC Media. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with the governing bodies. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of age 16 and up. I'm Allison Brooks from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for Olympia City Council Position 5 are Alan Miller and Lisa Parsley. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then I'll ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asked the question will have 2 minutes for a response, followed by 1 minute from the other candidate. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We'll begin with opening statements from the candidates, beginning with Alan Miller. Alan, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Alan Miller, and I'm running for Olympia City Council Position 5. I've been in town for 35 years. I've been a community leader, a servant leader, serving the community, serving the citizens of Olympia in many capacities over the years. The first thing I like to say is that I'm the father of 3 kids that were all born and raised in Olympia and are now well-functioning and successful adults. I'm an environmental attorney and have been practicing in Olympia since 1982. I was elected to the school board for 2 terms, and 2 of the highlights of the school board were we adopted a 100% graduation rate policy, and we also developed and built the Olympia Regional Learning Academy, which is ORLA for short, and it's the greenest, most environmentally sustainable school building in the state of Washington. I served 2 terms on the Planning Commission. I ended up being the chair of the Planning Commission, and during that time we just rediscovered the Wilder & White and Olmsted plans for the State Capitol campus, and one of the accomplishments was to create the North Capitol Campus Heritage Park from the Law Enforcement Memorial out to our great interactive fountain. I also was on the Downtown Housing Task Force, and I'm glad to see that we're finally getting more and more downtown housing. I was also one of the leaders of the Metropolitan Parks District measure, which passed a couple of years ago, and that's why we now have LBA Woods Park and Kaiser Heights Park, and I've been a collaborator in order to have these accomplishments. If you want to get my full biography, go to votealanmiller.com, and I thank you for the time, and I look forward to your vote.
Thank you, Alan. Lisa, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you. I was raised as a child to give back to your community, and more importantly, to leave nobody behind. And for the last 15 years, I have spent giving back to my community of the veterinary profession. I have worked at the national level, interacting with the FDA, the USDA, the EPA, and even Congress at times when it required advocacy for my profession. Most recently, I just got done with serving a 2-year term as the Washington State Veterinary Medical Association president, and I currently serve on the State Hazardous Drug Law Advisory Committee. But last November, when we all had that awakening on Wednesday morning, I realized it was time to stop serving my profession and time to start serving my local community. The community that has allowed me to build 2 small businesses, successfully hire up to 40 people, and pay $15 minimum wage, as well as their benefit. This community, Olympia, is a phenomenal community. We face issues such as the homelessness and a climate change that's going to impact our downtown with sea level rise. We have a growth coming that we have to balance both of those issues, as well as somehow finding a way to provide living wages and affordable housing. I want to take all my experience and put it to this community and this city and this region to make sure that we balance all of those issues and take care of them in a real and serious manner by building coalitions and using the village can do it together motto. My name is Lisa Parsley. I'm running for Olympia City Council, position number 5.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, let's start with our questions. And the first question will go to Alan, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. And if you need me to repeat a question, feel free to ask. What measures would you take to further invigorate downtown Olympia? Please discuss the parking issue and also discuss how you would use the Downtown Historic District listed on the National Register of Historic Places and the nationally certified Olympia Main Street program to your advantage. You have 2 minutes, Alan.
Two of the things that I would deal with, first of all, we need to solve the homelessness problem, and so through both public safety and the home fund measures, I'm hoping that we can set up a Good Samaritan system where anybody can call 911 if they see somebody in distress, and a social worker would come and respond and have the person into a shelter, into a bed, have a meal. If the person has mental illness issues, then they are dealt with, and that measure can be resolved. If they have addiction problems, they can be social services can address that. If they just need a job, then that can be addressed. Secondly, one of the ideas is that I have as an attorney, I know that our courthouse is badly in bad shape, and it has been for years. And so I would work with the county commissioners and build a new courthouse downtown. Up until just the 1970s, the courthouse had been downtown, and we should rebuild the courthouse. That would bring a lot more employees downtown, a lot more people would live downtown. We could build a parking structure in conjunction with a new courthouse that would not only be open for the employees, but also for the public, and that would create more economic development downtown, and also it would be historic because historically the courthouse was downtown. Also, as a small business owner myself, I have seen the growth of businesses downtown. I was president of the Chamber of Commerce, and we do need to continue to help by advertising the fact that we have a historic downtown, linking it to our historic Olmsted Brothers and Wilder & White State Capitol campus, which connects to downtown, and I think that would be the way that we can deal with economic development downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And Lisa, you have 1 minute for a response.
Thank you. Our downtown is unique, especially when you consider that Lacey and Tumwater do not have a downtown. Both of my businesses are downtown, and I live downtown. It is upon us to change the perception of downtown. We right now do have the homelessness issue, and I do believe that this needs to be dealt with as we plan how we're going to get the growth in this city managed, because they expect up to 5,000 people in downtown alone to call that their home. So we need to be serious about our homelessness. We need to make sure that we get housing first. Next, we need to make sure the coalition of small businesses are supported and allowed to grow in a manner that doesn't hurt the efforts to get people in housing, but yet revitalizes the downtown. And part of that will be providing adequate housing so that those that work downtown can actually shop downtown and be downtown.
Thank you, Lisa. Second question. Lisa, it's going to go to you for 2 minutes. What type of relationship should the city have with the Port of Olympia?
That's an excellent question. Being that a good portion of our city is right up front and bordering all Portland, and the fact that when they do use the Deepwater Marina, they transport over our land, we should have a very, very tight relationship. Because as we grow as the city of Olympia, there's going to be pressure on the port to allow growth on their land as well and development, as it should be, because the port's mandate is to be an incubator for business and the economy for our area. And as the city councilor, it is also our mandate to make sure that we have a great incubation for not only the small business, but adequate living for the growth coming up. We also are facing a serious climate change impact on our city, which potentially could have king tides right into downtown as early as 2025. The Portland will be impacted by this, so we have to work as partners to address these serious environmental issues as we move forward. I do believe with a tight relationship that we can grow small businesses, mitigate and reduce the impact of the environmental changes coming to Olympia as well as our region. And I think it behooves the City Council not only of Olympia but Tumwater Lacey to work with the Olympia Port in a meaningful manner that furthers business, the environment, and growth.
Thank you. Alan, you have 1 minute to respond.
Yes, I've been a collaborator with the Port over the years. When I was president of my Rotary Club, we worked with the Port and the city in developing what is now West Bay Rotary Point Park along West Bay Drive. And it's been a great success. And I would like to see that collaboration with the Port to continue and build what is called, a lot of people call it the Big W Trail, because if you look at it, it looks like a big W, but it would be a trail down from West Bay Marina along West Bay, go by the West Bay Rotary Point Park, and then tie into Percival Landing, and then go up the Port Peninsula, and then down toward East Bay, and then up the East Bay Drive area. And we could actually help with sea level rise, and actually I think solve the sea level rise issue by building that trail at elevation, and we would create both a great public trail, public access to the waterfront all along downtown and the Port Peninsula, and also protect our infrastructure.
Thank you, Alan. Alan, what are your views on homelessness and what solutions do you recommend? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. I addressed this a little bit with our economic development question on downtown. And again, what I foresee would be the ability of anybody to call 911 and and have social workers respond to people that are in need, the homeless and people that, again, are mentally ill, addicted, and just need economic help with a job. There are programs in Salt Lake City and Albuquerque, New Mexico that have proven successful that have social workers responding. I think that we also need to tie this into public safety. One of the things that we need is to have the walking and biking patrol back downtown, and that would help, I think, making people, both the homeless and people that are just shopping downtown or going to the theater, going to restaurants, feel safe. And so that's one of the reasons I support both the public safety measure that's going to be on the November ballot and also the home fund, which is going to be on the February ballot, because I think that we need those measures to pass in order to help with and solve the homelessness problem. In the 35 years I've been in town, the last 5 years it has become more and more of an issue, and it really is a public health issue to me. I think it's unhealthy. It's not good for people to be living outside, and they need to be inside and being treated and being helped with whatever issue they may be dealing with.
Thank you, Ellen. Lisa, you have 1 minute for a response.
Absolutely. The homelessness issue in Olympia is an issue that's facing a lot of our major cities in this country. And yes, the ones that have been successful at addressing this and reducing the number of people without a roof over their head have first gone for housing. Housing is incredibly important whether you have a mental illness or an addiction. We need to get housing first. Unfortunately, housing is not one size fits all. We're going to have to work through this very complex problem to figure out what's going to be best, because some are going to need what the Home Fund offers, which is wraparound services. Some just simply need help to get into lower cost housing. So with this very complex issue, my first thing is going to be housing and supporting the Home Fund. My next issue is going to be getting a coalition of the small business owners, those people without a house, the service providers, and the city together to form a coalition to figure out all the next steps we need to provide to reduce the homelessness in Olympia.
Thank you, Lisa. Other than the budget, please identify 2 major concerns for the city of Olympia in the next 4 years, and how would you propose to deal with them? You have 2 minutes.
One is the growth. I have lived in multiple cities throughout this country in my travels getting trained to become a veterinary oncologist. I've seen good examples of well-planned growth and bad examples of very bad growth where the sprawl goes from one city to another. In my opinion, with the growth planned expected in the next 20 years, we have a golden opportunity right now to set forth plans, zoning, and permitting that allows us to control this growth in a meaningful manner so we keep Olympia vibrant and unique, because if we do not do this, we will look like a suburb of Seattle. So we have this opportunity in the next few years to grab this with both hands and provide adequate planning that actually has substantive teeth. The next issue is the environment. We have talked about homelessness, but the environment is coming to our door. We are a sea level city. It will be in our downtown. It will be impacting various parts of our city. We need to support and further the global covenant of mayors processes that have already been started in this city. We need to not only hold to the Paris Accords, but beat the Paris Accords. And this is going to take a collective effort with the city government and the staff and the people of Olympia, and we need to start it now. 5-10 years from now is too late to help with the environment.
Thank you, Lisa. Alan, you have 1 minute to respond.
I see affordable housing as a very important issue before the city, and as a land use attorney, environmental attorney, I would use zoning and be able to create tiny houses, maybe another Quixote village. We definitely need to continue with market rate housing downtown, but we also need to combine that with affordable housing and low income housing downtown. And so I would do like Seattle's zoning and make sure that we have enough affordable housing in a development downtown so that we can resolve the homelessness issue. And also just, with the growth, we have 20,000 more citizens expected over the next 20 years in Olympia, and so we're going to need to make sure that we have enough houses. So I see accessory dwelling units, tiny houses, and actually infill in the neighborhoods in order to make sure that we have enough affordable housing over the next 10, 20 years.
Thank you. Alan, do you support the Views on Fifth proposal project, or do you support a park for the Capitol Lake Isthmus? Please give your reasons and specific facts in support of your opinion. You have 2 minutes.
No, that area should and has been planned for the North Capitol campus for years, and so I do oppose that. I've actually, one of the things I've worked on since I was on the Planning Commission back in 1987 is to make sure that we do end up buying and taking down the Capitol Center building to reopen the Olmsted Brothers Wilder & White View Corridor that was part of it's part of the historic design of the State Capitol campus. And I've talked to too many people who go to the Law Enforcement Memorial. I've gone every year to their ceremony where they add names of people who have been killed or have died on duty during the year before. And I've heard too many people from the Behind the Badge Foundation, which is the foundation that built the Law Enforcement Memorial, saying that it's an atrocity that this area was designed to be the Olmsted Brothers viewpoint and view corridor, and to have to look out at the Capitol Center building. So one of the reasons I led the effort to pass the Metropolitan Parks District bond was the city kept on saying, well, we don't have the money to buy and take down the Capitol Center building. Well, we've had the Trust for Public Lands poll back in 2015. We had a Stuart Elway poll just last year that showed that there's overwhelming support of the citizens of Olympia to buy and take down that. And my vision, and actually the vision of many, many other people when we brought this to the public, is to have a Squaxin Island Tribal Museum as Longhouse. I think it's a tragedy that our Native Americans have not had a presence in downtown. Have that there, have a carousel next to the next to our great public fountain, which is, it's the most popular place in the summertime. Let's have a carousel or something else that families can come down during all times of the year.
Thank you, Ellen. Lisa, you have 1 minute for a response.
I am against this development, and for many reasons. The first and foremost, this is right into the floodplain of the sea level rise and the king tides. The other problem with this is land that is not built on bedrock. So not only are we going to have difficulty with the sea level rise coming right in through this area, but we're going to be having that land become more unstable as the groundwater rises in this area. This is not a good place for our city to plan their development. While we need low-cost, low-income housing, middle-income housing, and high-income housing to afford the growth, this is not the right place to do it. Whether you're for the Capitol Lake or for the estuary, or just are concerned about where we're building based on sea level rise, this area is not an excellent place. This is a poor place for the growth to go. So I am against it.
Thank you, Lisa. And now we're going to start the last question. And Lisa, you'll go first. Lisa, what are your funding priorities and how would you plan to balance the budget? You have 2 minutes.
Funding priorities. First off, I think the city has to own the homelessness issue. We can no longer look to the county or the state. We have to say these are our people. On the most recent survey, 75% of the people without a house are within 5 miles of their original home. This will take money. This will take a commitment of the city. So the funding priorities would be to tackle this and make sure that we can adequately fund whatever process that we can come up with, whatever they are, because it's going to take more than one type of housing. We need to be able to fund seed grants so that people can get matching funds from federal and state government and nonprofits. So the city needs to make sure that we have adequate funding in our budget. How do I plan to balance the budget? Well, first, the city council should own the budget. The budget is something that is living. It is not something that you open up once a year, look at, rubber stamp, and close it down. Whenever something new happens in the city outside of that one time, you need to be able to be familiar with this budget in the ins and outs of it, the revenues as well as the outgoing losses for the city, so that when you can address these issues that arise throughout the year, what if some fantastic idea happened to help with the homelessness and the city council is not conversant in the budget? They will not be able to provide adequate knowledge that, yes, we can take this chunk of money and put it towards this project as a seed money. So the first thing that I would do is own that budget, look at that budget, be familiar with the profit loss on each segment of our city government, and not just look at it once a year. We have to make it a living, breathing part of every city council meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. Alan, you have 1 minute for a response.
Thank you. As a school board member and president, I actually managed and developed budgets that are in very similar to the city budget. The city budget, both operating and capital, are well over $100 million. Same with the school board. So I've actually have experience doing that. And my priorities, a city's, the streets, the sewers, the infrastructure needs to be a priority in the budget. The budget is a policy document. It shows where we're putting our money. And so in order to balance it, I'm going to make sure, just as I did as a school board member, to make sure that the revenues are above expenses. We need to make sure that we keep the expenses down. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you both. We'll now move to your closing comments. And Alan, you get to go first for 1 minute, and then Lisa, you'll get to close us out. So Alan, 1 minute for closing comments.
Thank you. Really appreciate the time and appreciate the League of Women Voters putting together this forum along with TC Media. Again, go to votealanmiller.com if you have any questions. Send me an email. I'm happy to meet with you to discuss any issues that you may have. The issues, I have 5 issues that are my priorities: homelessness, housing, environmental protection, economic development, and public safety. I think it's important that we address all of those issues, and I've articulated in answering the questions, how I would go about doing that. But if you want somebody with experience who's been in town for 35 years and has been an elected official, worked with the city as a planning commissioner and passing bond measures, not only for schools but also for parks. I've been a champion for downtown for years, and bringing the courthouse downtown I think would be a great shot in the arm for the economic development of downtown, both with housing and with economic activity. So please vote for Alan Miller. I appreciate the time, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Lisa, you have 1 minute for closing comments.
Thank you. It has been a great pleasure to run for City Council. I have learned so much about this city that I did not even begin to understand. This city has my heart. It has my business. It has my soul, if you would, at that moment. I believe in this city. I believe in the people of this city. I think that the expertise, the knowledge, and the creativity of the people of Olympia can face and solve any of the issues we've been talking about in this last half hour. I am not just a veterinarian. I have also 15 years experience running and interacting with government, running councils, running a board of directors, and I most recently have worked to build 2 small businesses. I know what it takes to be on City Council. I know I can do it. This city has my heart. Please vote Lisa Parsley for Olympia, and visit me on my Facebook, Lisa for Olympia.
Thank you, and thank you both again, and thank you for participating in the League of Women Voters General Election Forum for Olympia City Council Position 5. We encourage viewers to vote in the general election on or before November 7th, 2017. The League particularly thanks TC Media for their ongoing support and assistance. And thank you both again, Alan and Lisa, for joining us today, and thank you to our viewers.
Thank you.